terrorism in all its forms. We expect others, the Russian Foreign Ministry statement said, to strongly denounce this world evil. Russia has reiterated that the Syrian people are the ones who should determine their own future and not the international organizations or other forces. Addressing the 9th Asia and Europe Summit in Laos, Russian Prime Minister Dmitry Medvedev said the major task at present is in the way we can help the Syrian people realize this objective. He considered the situation in Syria as a source of concern. The same stand was confirmed by Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, who stressed that any change in Syria must be introduced by the Syrian people themselves without any foreign intervention. In a press conference with his Jordanian counterpart Nasser Joudi in Amman, Lavrov said the Geneva meeting statement is the basis for a political solution to the crisis in Syria through dialogue among all parties away from any foreign intervention. He emphasized support for the UN envoy to Syria Al-Akhdar al-Ibrahimi's mission. Lavrov warned that if the opposition continues its present policy, this means it is working on continuing the bloodshed in Syria. A rapid move should be taken to stop the violence. He also warned against the possibility for the opposition sides to possess chemical weapons, adding that there is information that they had already received 50 Stinger missiles. Lavrov called on all parties to the Geneva Agreement to encourage all Syrian sides to conduct dialogue, otherwise those parties will be responsible for the bloodshed in the country. The Russian President's Special Representative for Middle Eastern Affairs, Deputy Foreign Minister Mikhail Bogdanov, has affirmed that there is no other way to settle the crisis in Syria except through political dialogue between the government and the opposition. In statements to the press in Amman on the sideline of the Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov's visit to the Jordanian capital, Bogdanov said his country is trying to convince the parties to the Syrian opposition to sit at the table of negotiations with the representatives of the Syrian government. Iran's Supreme Leader, Advisor for International Affairs, Major General Yahya Rahim Sawafi, said that the United States and the Western countries are trying to enhance sedition and Islamic world by supporting the Takfiri terrorists in the region. Rahim Safawi denounced the crimes committed by the terrorist groups in Syria, referring to the large amounts of money provided by the USA, Israel and some countries in the region to the terrorist groups in order to kill the innocent citizens in Syria. Our armed forces have continued to perform their duty in clearing Homs and its provinces of terrorist groups who wreaked havoc in the area. They targeted terrorist hideouts in Tel Dau in Al-Hula region in the governorate suburbs, killing a number of armed men and destroying the cars they had used in their terrorist operations and aggression against citizens, law enforcement troops, and private and public properties. The army also destroyed 2 factories for manufacturing explosive devices and locally made missiles. In Homs, 2 army units destroyed a terrorist headquarters in Arestan and the governorate suburbs and killed all the gunmen in the place. Among the terrorists identified were their leader, Muhammad Tlas, and the members of the group, Muhammad Farzad, Sultan Muhammad Hamdan, and Hayyan Khalid and Abdul Mun'im Tlas. An army unit also targeted a terrorist hideout in Al-Makarmiya neighborhood east of Tbilisi, killing dozens of gunmen, including Muhammad Ahmad and Ali Touma, Ali Badawi, and Talal Nasif, Ahmad Mustafa Ashqar, and Adnan and Aido Daran. In Latakia, an army unit carried out a qualitative operation in Kinsabba district against several terrorist groups that were attacking the citizens and the security checkpoints. The operation resulted in the elimination of many terrorists and the wounding of others, destroying a number of vehicles and seizing a large quantity of weapons, including machine guns, rocket-propelled grenades, and a variety of ammunition. Our armed forces also continued chasing the remnants of the terrorists in the jungle surrounding the area in order to clear the district and restore security to it. In Deir ez-Zor, an army unit clashed with an armed terrorist group in Al-Muzdafil neighborhood and killed 4 of its members. Earlier, a unit of the armed forces clashed with terrorists in the neighborhood and killed a large number of them. Another unit of the armed forces clashed with an armed terrorist group in Al-Busayriya street in Deir ez-Zor city and inflicted heavy losses on the terrorists. A source in the province told Sana reporter that top wanted terrorist Abdullah Yassin al-Naif was killed. In the framework of targeting national skills and qualified cadres, terrorists this morning assassinated Dr. Muhammad Osama al-Laham, a brother of People's Assembly Speaker in Al Thuraya area in Al-Midan neighborhood in Damascus. A source in the province told Sana that terrorists opened fire at al-Laham in his car while he was on his way to work, causing his immediate martyrdom. Palestinian resistance men targeted an Israeli patrol south of Gaza Strip, wounding 3 Israeli soldiers. Palestinian sources said that the occupation soldiers were wounded by an explosive device planted by the resistance men east of Khan Yunis. Meanwhile, occupation authorities unveiled a plan to build 1,213 new settlement units. In Iraq, terrorist explosions killed and wounded more than 80 people today. Iraqi sources said that 27 people were killed, mostly soldiers, and 50 others wounded following the explosion of a car bomb inside an army camp in the town of Taji, north of Baghdad. In Mosul, an explosive device targeted an army patrol, killing 2 soldiers. Finally, voters in the USA started to cast their votes to choose the 45th president in the country, while polls showed that Democratic candidate Barack Obama would win over his Republican challenger Mitt Romney. Polling stations opened across the eastern United States and parts of the Midwest. At least 120 million Americans were expected to vote. National opinion polls show Obama and Romney in a virtual dead heat, although the Democratic incumbent has a slight advantage in several vital swing states, most notably Ohio. The Americans will select a new Senate and the new members for the House of Representatives, as well as 13 governors. With this, we conclude our news bulletin for today. For more information about Syria and the region, and if you want to view our bulletin again, you can visit our website in English, syriaonline.sy. Up next, the latest business and market news with Rani after the break.
Good afternoon. The People's Assembly approved the bill that stipulates exempting the agricultural cooperative banks loans that were granted before October the 1st for agricultural purposes. In addition to exempting the fees and benefits of the unemployment loans, with the exception of the loans included in the decrees number 120 and 121 of the year 2011 and the decree number 51 of the year 2012. Prime Minister Dr. Wael Al-Halqi will form a higher council for workers' housing so that it would study the suggestions of the public bodies and the General Union of Workers Syndicate in order to lay down housing projects for public sector workers, since low-cost houses are needed for them in different governorates. The Ministry of Transportation decided funding the Beach Roads Project and the Port Roads Project, which would have a positive role in activating vast areas on the coast and the port of Latakia Governorate. The chairman of the City Council said that the ministry agreed to grant about 700 million Syrian pounds of the money allocated for the road transportation establishment's plan to launch these two projects, which have already been included in the establishment's plan for next year, in addition to providing 80 million Syrian pounds to establish the Beach Road Project, which costs 1.5 billion Syrian pounds. The cost of the Northern Highway and the Port Road, which would enable shipping goods to and from the port, would reach 4 billion Syrian pounds. The highway would be 10 kilometers long with many bridges and tunnels. The manager of the commercial bank, Mr. Ahmed Diab, asserted that the bank's deposits reached 310 billion Syrian pounds, pointing out that the bank seeks to continue granting loans to workers with limited income in the public sector. He further highlighted that the bank's liquidity is in a good state and that withdrawals have been stable for more than 2 months, taking into consideration the current circumstances that Syria is witnessing. He warned of a gang that forges the bank's ATM cards and steals them, so the bank's customers must be careful while withdrawing money from the bank's ATM machines. Brent crude held over $107 per barrel, as doubt ahead of the U.S. elections and renewed worries about Greece and the Eurozone crisis headed traders' concerns. Japan's Nikkei share average fell, ending below the 9,000 mark. On the other hand, stronger travel and technology stocks helped European equities to advance, while charts signaled more gains, although doubt about the outcome of the U.S. election is likely to cap moves throughout the session. Gold traded little changed as investors awaited potential policy spin-offs from the U.S. presidential election, while China's upcoming leadership transition and Greece's strike over a new austerity package also kept sentiment cautious. The euro fell to a 2-month low against the dollar, with the outlook for the single currency clouded by uncertainty over a parliamentary vote in Greece on budget and labor reforms. And with this, we conclude our news. Thank you for watching and goodbye.